Hello everyone and welcome to my next video about Chinese character etymology and phonetic series. In this video I'm going to talk about phonetics, a phonetic series that is led by the title phonetic character, which is pronounced Huai, which is this big character over here, and it is sort of like a small bird. A character which is useless today in Chinese, but nevertheless, it is a very frequent phonetic and semantic element in a lot of very useful characters, and it is the phonetic element in this series that you can see over here. When you look at its predecessors, the characters or the versions of this character that have been in use earlier, this character over here is its Oracle bone script version, which could be dated back at around roughly 400 BC and much earlier than that, but that 400 would be that last sort of time period in which it was used. And it resembles, if you look at that character, I'm not saying it resembles a bird quite well, but it definitely resembles a small bird much better than the regular script version of this character and then the seal script version of this character. The seal script version of this character, which is this one over here, and these dark blue-green characters over here, has been codified as the official script of the Chinese Empire in roughly 200 BC. It is very well structured and it is a fully usable and effective way of writing, and it is a script on which the regular script is directly based upon. As you can see, it is a simplification and a formatting of the Oracle bone script. And then in the next step, we can see the regular script version of this character, which would be probably about 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th century AD, but it's really rough to tell because it was just gradually emerging and gradually being used in writing. As you can see, that's a simplification and a formatted version of the seal script. And why I'm telling you all of this is that if you look at the modern version of this character and the Oracle bone script version of this character, you can see that there is a big difference. But if you go back through that intermediary step of the seal script, you can sort of see what happened to this character and why it looks the way it looks today, and maybe even what the changes were as to what it looked earlier. One thing that I just wanted to talk about in this particular case is that in this character we have this element over here, which is pronounced ren, and it is a person, which as a standalone character is written like this. And this element has nothing to do with the meaning bird or with the pronunciation zhui. And the reason why you can find it in this particular character is that when the regular script was created, the scholars who were creating it had to find something to put into the place of this element over here, and sort of simplify it, because that was the sort of like the trend to simplify the seal script to make it more regular. And since the elements that they could choose from were limited, they just had to find something that resembled this particular section over here, and they ended up by choosing ren, because ren was the thing that resembled this sort of this section of the seal script character the most. But it has nothing to do with the meaning or the sound of the character at all, and so that's just why I wanted to mention this. So when we look at the series that zhui, that this character is present in, we can see that, well, we can see the first three, and let me just do a little line over here. The first three characters are very abstract in their meanings. So the first character is pronounced wei, in the second tone, and it has two meanings, or two meanings that I know of and that I use very often. And the first meaning is, it's sort of like this answer when you pick up a phone. When you say hello in English, then you say wei in Chinese. So clearly zhui is the phonetic element, and the semantic element over here is kou, which is I don't know where to write it, which is a mouth. and it just sort of points to that meaning of this way. Of course, in earlier times where there were no telephones, it wasn't. It had a different meaning. It was just to say, sort of like, "What are you saying? Hello," something like that. And so why this element is over here, ko, this mouth element, is that it points to that meaning. And the second meaning of this character is also very abstract, and it means the only one. So let me just write the first meaning as hello. And the other meaning is the only one. One. In expressions like 唯一的一个, the only one. And again, I'm not really sure if which one of these two expressions is older. I'm guessing it is hello, this expression. And I'm guessing that the other meaning of the character, the only one, is just by phonetic alone. So this character, probably the pronunciation of this character, wei, in whenever it was created, used to mean something like hello or what are you saying, and then later, because the only one and hello in ancient times were pronounced in a very similar way, maybe even in the same way, this character as a whole started to be used for the meaning the only one as well. I'm only guessing, and the reason why I'm guessing is that hello and the only one are semantically very different. If there are two different meanings of a character that sort of can be traced to the same semantic root, then it is safe to assume that the character was sort of used or started to be used for these two meanings based on the similarity in their meanings. So basically, it's just an extension of its meaning. But in this case, these two meanings for this character are very different, so I'm really guessing that one of these two is alone, and one of these two meanings is what this character was created for in the first place. The second character in this series, also very abstract, is pronounced sui. Sui in the first tone, and it means even though. Even though. Even though. And this is the traditional version of this character. The simplified version of this character is only this part over here, this left section. So there are two explanations or two interpretations as to what the phonetic element in this character is. The first interpretation is that the phonetic element is this character as a whole, so it's zhui, right? And then the semantic element is this part over here, which is sort of like a lizard with a big head. And the reason why the semantic element is a lizard with a big head is that originally this character used to represent really a lizard, sort of like this, really a lizard, and only because the pronunciation of the way lizard was said, or like in ancient Chinese, was very close to the pronunciation of even though, this character came to be chosen to represent even though, because even though, as we know, is a very abstract sort of like an expression. The second interpretation as to what is the phonetic element is that the phonetic element is actually this whole thing, which is this character, wei, and that the semantic element is only this part, which is pronounced chong, and is an insect. So you can choose whichever version you like. If we look at a dictionary from 100 AD, 说文解字, we can see that the phonetic element is actually this whole thing, so it's wei. And that would mean that chong is the semantic element, and if you like, you can say that basically this whole left part over here is the semantic element and points to the meaning of lizard. So let me just write this down. So lizard is the semantic element. The third character in this series is pronounced shay. And again, a very abstract character. It means who. Who. And the semantic element is this part over here, which is pronounced yen, and it means, it's a radical which is translated as words. I don't know where to write this, but here, words. Words. And again, a very abstract character in its meaning. Whenever you can see this yen element in characters on the left side, it is a semantic element which is usually pointing to characters that are either grammatical particles, or have a really, really abstract meaning, as is this case. One note to the pronunciation of this character. Today we pronounce it as shui in Mandarin, but not so long ago, it used to be pronounced as shui in the second tone. This was at least in 1923, because I'm working with a dictionary from 1923 by Bernhard Karlgren, and in his sort of pronunciation list, this character was pronounced as shui. And that's pretty important because the phonetic element in it is pronounced zhui, so the rhyme is even closer than the pronunciation of that character today, which is shui. So if you compare shui and zhui, and then shui and zhui, then that is, of course, shui. The earlier pronunciation is much closer to that. We continue in the series. The next character is pronounced dui, dui in the first tone, and it is sort of like a pile of something. A pile of something. For instance, in the expression 一大堆问题, like a big pile of problems, a heap of problems. And the semantic element in it is this element over here, which is pronounced tu, and it is earth, soil. Earth, soil. So just pointing to the meaning of the character. The next character is pronounced tui, tui. And again, so you see that it's clear that zhui is giving the sound to all of these characters, because we have wei, sui, shei, dui, tui, right? And the title of character is pronounced zhui. Tui means to push something. To push something, either literally, like to push a person. You can find this character on doors. We have tui, and it means to push, and then on the other side you will have la, which means to pull. But it also is to push something in a, as a metaphor, like to promote someone. You can use this. You can find this character as well in a lot of words as a morpheme that are quite abstract in their meaning, but they still have the same root push meaning in them. And the semantic element is this one, and it's pronounced shou, and it's a hand. So as you can see, once you understand the system behind Chinese characters, they make a lot of sense, because the right part in this entire series is the phonetic element, and the left part is very clearly the element pointing to the meaning of these characters. The next character is pronounced wei, again in the second tone, and it used to mean, its original meaning was a fiber. Fiber, and that is the reason for this element over here, which is pronounced si, and it means silk. By the way, this is the traditional version of this character. The simplified is very, very similar to it. You write the silk element like this, so you don't do the 3 dots. You just do a little line instead of that. And this character has a lot of other meanings than fiber today. It also means to defend or to protect in words like wei hu, and a lot of words that are not really related to silk, but the original meaning of this character was silk, and that is the reason for the si, silk element. The original meaning of the character was fiber, and that is the reason for the presence of si, of the silk radical in this character. The next character is pronounced Huai. Huai. And it is a completely useless character. It is, well, not absolutely completely useless. It is a name of a river in China. And that is the reason for the water radical in it. This is shui, and it's just water. So let me just write it. It's a river, name of a river. And one interpretation as to why Zhui is in this character, except for the fact that it has the same rhyme, Huai, Zhui. Not a perfect match, but a very close one. And if you look at the phonetic reconstruction tables of Middle Chinese, you will see that the pronunciation of this character and the phonetic element that is in it is even much closer. So it's definitely the phonetic element, but probably it has sort of like this co-semantic dimension to it. And the reason for that is that it is just basically a river where a lot of these birds reside. So apart from the fact that Zhui is giving the sound to this character, it also is giving sort of like this slightly a little bit of a meaning to the character as well. But why this Huai character is important for us in this entire series is that it is the semantic element in the next character which is used very, very often. This character is pronounced Hui. Hui in the fourth tone, and means to transfer or to remit money. So if you say, well, Hui Kuan, it means that I want to transfer money to a bank account. There is also a bank, HSBC, which is in Chinese called Hui Feng, and it is this character, exactly this character, which is used in it. And this is, by the way, this is the again the traditional version of this character. The simplified version is written like this. And let me just write what it means. So it means to transfer. And the semantic element, which I unfortunately wasn't very successful in understanding, and I was looking at my sort of dictionaries and tried to understand why this element is present in this character. This element is basically a enclosure, a place where you can store things, and I believe that one of the meanings of Hui, of this character, is also to store things in one place. So very probably the reason for the presence of this element in this particular character is that the original meaning was to store, and then Huai was the phonetic element in it. There is a little tricky part about this character when it comes to its simplification into this simplified version, because apparently two different characters are simplified as this. One is this one, Hui, and then there is another character which is also pronounced Hui, but and it's written in simplified Chinese like this, but in traditional Chinese is written, let me hope I get this right, is written like this. And it means basically the same thing. It means like to store something, and it can be found in characters like it can be found in words like 词汇, which is basically vocabulary. Same tradition, same simplified, but two different traditional characters for that. And the last character, and I sort of separated it a little bit from the whole series, because phonetically it is slightly off in modern Mandarin. It's pronounced zhi, and it means immature, naive, or young. So young. Probably the original meaning was just young, and naive is what we use today. Naive. And the semantic element in it is this part over here, which is pronounced he, and it is grain. Grain. So that points to the meaning of the character as a whole. It just says that grain sometimes is young and immature and so on. And Zhui is the phonetic element. And why I separated this from the rest of the series is that clearly Zhui does not really match with zhi. And the reason for why this Zhui is the phonetic element in this character, and it really is the phonetic element, is that earlier on in history these characters had a very, very similar pronunciation. If you look at the Middle Chinese reconstruction of the pronunciation of these two characters, Zhui was pronounced chui, and zhi was pronounced dui. So chui, dui. clearly very similar back then, not very similar today. And probably it's not even going to help you very much that you know that Huai is the phonetic element in this character today, in helping you remember it better. All right, so I hope you liked this presentation. This was the Huai phonetic series, and I will see you in the next one.